We're going to open today's meeting by roll call vote. Let me make sure. Here we go. Nancy Francis,
Here.
Danielle Gilmet,
She's muted.
Here.
Jerry Howland,
Here.
Steve Reel,
Here.
Jennifer Alves, I'm here. And this is the November 10th, 2020 meeting of the Acushnet Public Library Board of Trustees. We are being audio taped and videotaped, and we do have a quorum. Everyone on today's call is participating remotely, and we also have the library director, Dina Brasser, here with us as well remotely. The first order of business is the review and approval of the minutes for October 20th. Does anyone have any questions or clarifications to those minutes? No? Okay, then we need a motion.
I make a motion to accept the minutes.
Second? Anybody?
Steve Reel makes a second.
Okay. To accept the meeting minutes of October 20th, Nancy Francis,
Aye.
Danielle Gilmet,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
and myself, aye. Thank you. Next on the agenda is the budget.
So yesterday I sent you all the to-date budget. I hope you got it. And just in case, I'll note that our salary line is 20.2% spent out, and our operating line is 69.6% spent, for a total of 29.7% spent. Unless anyone has any questions regarding individual lines, I'm really comfortable where we are right now. I think we're doing great this fiscal year. We're right on target with a lot of our spending plans. That's really all I have to add, unless you have any concerns or questions.
I don't have anything. Anyone else?
Nope.
Okay. We need a motion.
Motion to accept.
Whoops. Go ahead.
Anyone
Motion
want to?
ex- Yep.
There you go. Can we get a second?
Second, Nancy Francis.
Okay, roll call to accept the budget. Nancy,
Aye.
Danielle,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
and myself, aye. For old business, we have the phased reopening plan.
We're status quo with phased reopening. I don't know if you saw the numbers, but Acushnet did move from red to yellow this week after 4 weeks of red, or this past week. That doesn't mean much. The numbers are still higher, the number of total cases, so it's a little confusing how the state is making those determinations. But we would need to be out of the red for quite a few weeks before we could consider opening for browsing. So as of right now, And that's through conversations I've had with the Board of Health. So as of right now, we're going to stick with our takeout and our computer use by appointment. As I mentioned in my director's report, we've seen an uptick in appointments since the Standard Times and the Advocate and the Neighborhood News all published articles regarding library service for both Acushnet and for Haven. And so we have gotten a number of calls as a result of that press, which was really nice to have that those articles come out. And the response has been really positive. So computer appointments are going well, and takeout continues to go well. We're at just about 8,700 items as of this morning checked out through takeout. And we're handing out 2 craft kits this month. People have been really enjoying those kits, so we're going to keep making them, but we've got 2 this month. They're both Thanksgiving themed, so if anyone's watching and wants to stop by during takeout hours, please come by and pick up a craft kit. And that's about all, unless you've got questions for me about reopening or anything to do with takeout.
Status quo is good.
Okay, good. And no votes on this one, so we're good on that.
Right, right, there you go. Phew. Okay, moving on to new business. We have the Creative Bug database to talk about.
Yes. So I learned about Creative Bug through the meetings I've been attending weekly with local directors. A few of the areas in the library have recently purchased Creative Bug, and that's how I found out about it. It's essentially a website, but a database for crafts or craft-like activities. It's put out in part by Joann stores, but it's not at all like you don't need to shop at Joann and buy Joann products in order to do the projects that they've got on their site. But the database features thousands of videos on knitting, crocheting, cooking, baking, jewelry making, just really anything creative that you can think of. There seems to be videos for all ages and for all skill levels. It's really easy to search and find what it is you're looking for on there. The videos are made by professional instructors. The content is very professional. There are no ads like you might find if you were searching for, certain techniques. Through a Google search or on YouTube, you might end up with ads, within the middle of the video. With this, there are no ads. There's also closed captioning, which is pretty awesome because you wouldn't find that on a regular search, on a regular internet search. They have patterns available to download, hundreds of patterns. And like I said, there's thousands of videos on there, and they do add at least 35 pieces of new content, so 35 new videos per month. They also, do seasonal things. Anyway, bottom line, there is a subscription fee of $1,000 for 1 year. I feel like right now where we aren't able to do any in-person programming, and also we may find ourselves, our current stay-at-home advisory in Massachusetts is between the hours of 10 p.m. and 5 a.m., but we may get a stay-at-home advisory that's a little more of like what we had in the spring. And I think by offering a database like this for our patrons who might be at home in the winter months a little bit more than they would like to be, it would give them an opportunity to, through the library for free, participate in some activities that they might like to give a try to. If we were to subscribe now, we would get the rest of the year for free. So we're, already at mid-November basically, but we would get from now until end December added on to the year subscription, and we wouldn't have to pay anything additional for that. It also includes public performing rights. So eventually when we do offer in-person programs again, it would be a neat way for the staff without bringing in an outside presenter to present a program, a craft program up. We could project it up on the wall in the community room and have the supplies there so people could come in for in-person programming. A lot of times when we bring in people for in-person programming, we're paying the professionals who come in, $300 to $400 each time, plus sometimes we're paying for supplies. So, which I fully support, and I will want to do that again one day, but I think that's to say that I think the $1,000 is a very reasonable price, because it would cover at least a few in-person programs as well. And at this time, the Friends of the Library have agreed to sponsor a few kits. So if we were to put together, the staff and I we have a trial subscription we've been playing around with and trying to come up with a few programs that we could do this winter where we or the Friends would provide the supplies for the programs. People would come and pick them up at the window, similar to the craft kits that we do for the kids, and then they would go home and watch the instructional video and have the material there to make whatever it is we've selected. And again, a couple of libraries in the area are already doing that and are getting great feedback from their patrons. So long story short, I think it's a great use of our state aid, especially at this time. We do have a good amount in that account because we didn't do any in-person programming after March of 2020. Normally we spend well over $5,000 from state aid on programs, so we haven't used any of that money for programming at this time, at least. So I think this would be a good way to add a nice service for our patrons, and also in thinking ahead, and if maybe with any luck at this time next year we're doing in-person programs again, we would have something we could possibly use as well. And if it's a success, then we could renew it the following year. So, but because it's a database, that is something that you all need to vote on to approve.
So how will the public access it? Will it be an app?
So it'll be, it could be through an app or just through a computer. And what'll happen is they will have a way of authenticating for our patrons, which is by the barcode, similar to how when our patrons now use Hoopla. So the patron will enter their Acushnet library card onto the website. You do need, the first time that you log on, it does need to be through a website. After that, you can create once you've created an account, you can log on through an app on a mobile device. But to start, you have to be through the website itself.
Mhm.
You enter in your Acushnet library card, you then use your email address to create your own profile. And from then on, you can log in from any device, and you no longer have to enter in your library card, which is what our patrons do with Hoopla. So they're authenticated through their barcode, their user barcode. So that's the way that would happen. So it would be limited to just people who have an Acushnet card, which is similar to Hoopla and a couple of our other databases.
Are there any limits to usage, like so many people at a time or so many people per month?
No, it's multi-use, so many people can be using it at the same time, watching the same exact video, and that there's no cap, and you can watch as many as you want at a time, which is unlike our other services like Hoopla or Overdrive and Libby, where you do have a monthly limit. But with this, there's no limit.
And are you able to save the videos to go back if you wanted to access them again?
Yes, you can. I guess it will remember where you left off if you stop in the middle of a video, so it will remember where you left off, so you don't have to. You can bookmark it so that you can get right back to where you were. And there's areas where you can make notes to yourself. So if you're in the middle of a project, you can leave a note to yourself and refer back to that when you go back to the project. Which is a pretty neat feature also. And you can there's also a way where once you're in a particular video, you can see if people have made public comments on it. So if someone throws out a suggestion like, oh, I tried this in place of that, or they recommended using this style of yarn, but I used that style of yarn. Like, I'm not a knitter, so I don't even know if that's an option, but what do I know about yarn? Nothing. But I know it's pretty, but they, so can be a little bit of interaction. You certainly don't have to do that, but there can be, a little bit of user interaction in terms of reading other people's comments if they've made their comments public. Yeah, so I think it'd be a neat thing to try out. And again, Rochester and Marion are very actively using it, and I guess their patrons are loving it.
You need a motion?
Yes.
We
Yeah.
do.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we authorize the purchase of the database Creative Bug.
Thank you.
Do we have a second?
Second, Nancy Francis.
Okay, roll call vote to accept the purchase of the database. Nancy,
Aye.
Danielle,
Aye.
Jerry,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
myself, aye. Next on the agenda, we have the Thanksgiving holiday schedule.
So this is more of an update than anything else. Some of you will remember, and if not, then I'll give a little history, that when the library staff union merged with the town hall staff union a few years ago, Thanksgiving became a little bit of an issue in terms of when the library would be closed and when it would be open surrounding the holiday, because the new contract that the union staff are in was very different for Thanksgiving than their previous contract. So for the past couple of years, we've had to make request an adjustment be made to accommodate the library's hours of service, and to still obviously give our staff an equitable amount of time off. So this year, since our services are different and more in line with what Town Hall is doing, after discussing it at length with our town administrator, we decided that the best thing to do would be to follow the union contract for this year, which means that the library will be open a half day on Wednesday, the 25th of November, and then we will be closed both Thursday and Friday. So we will be closed for Thanksgiving and Friday, the 27th, and our services will resume on Saturday, the 28th. So our staff will work a half day on Wednesday and then get a half day holiday, and then have full holidays for Thursday and Friday. On Wednesday, we will offer the takeout service and computers by appointment from 11 to 2. So we will have public service on Wednesday, and then at 2 o'clock, that will be the half day mark for us, and we will close the building. And the town administrator asked me to let you all know that she's determined when the contract is negotiated and it's up for negotiation this year for a new contract next year, that the library will have its own place within the contract for holidays, because our hours are so different from town hall's hours. And that's all the time, not just because of the current circumstances with COVID. I mean, we're open 4 nights a week and Saturdays. So we do offer quite a few more hours of service to the public. And I know that the staff here would love that to happen also, because it does kind of become an issue every time a non-Monday holiday rolls around. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer them, but I think the staff is very happy with this agreement this year, and everyone is totally on board with doing it the way that we proposed to them. So hopefully you're all okay with it too. You don't need to vote on it, but please, if you have questions, let me know.
I'm glad they're gonna write that into the contract with the library. Yeah, I think that'll be good.
Me too. because that's, you know, the purpose of a contract is so that you can refer to it and get the answer, not so that you can discuss it every time it comes around. So the way that it's been this, you know, for the past couple of years, we've had to just, you know, have a lot of discussion, but this will be just there, and we'll all have that to refer to. So no one will be wondering.
Which would be good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Does that, anybody have any questions or comments about the Thanksgiving hours? No? Okay, we have the director's report.
Yeah, so just a couple of things I wanted to point out from that report. I hadn't really discussed any of this with you yet, but I wrote a very lengthy paragraph in my report regarding contacting patrons who have overdue items from prior to mid-March. So this actually, the list that I'm working from has patrons who checked out items as far back as September of 2019. Because the due date kept being extended by the network, which was great that it kept being extended, but the list contains a lot more people because of the fact that we're going back to September of 2019 with it. So like I mentioned, when I started officially in mid-October, really aggressively working on this, the list had over 500 items, and as of this morning we're down to 229. So I really appreciate that patrons are, you know, seeing my emails or my voicemail, or hearing my voicemail, or actually picking up and talking to me, and then returning the items that they've had checked out, because there's some really great items that have been out for a really long time. So I'm going to give it a couple of more weeks for the remaining items. And then once that, I'm thinking like very end of November, beginning of December, I'm going to start mailing out notices, which is something we don't normally do, a print notice, but I'm going to mail out notices to home addresses of people who still have items checked out, as a way of really trying to get those items back. Because at this point, they're now being billed for those items according to the system. The system recognizes the overdues as, because now they're more than 3 months overdue, as the final due date extension was to July 31st. So the system's recognizing those items as being lost, and people are technically being billed for them. So maybe getting the mail notice will encourage them to return the items. And when they do return the items, there will be no fines associated, you know, whatsoever. So I'm really hoping we can get the majority of those back by December 31st. And like I noticed at some point, maybe at the next meeting, you might want to consider extending. You had agreed to no fines through the end of 2020. You had done that back in either May or June, when I don't think we thought we'd be in the same position still at the end of the year. So you may want to consider continuing to go fine free in the new year for another month or so, but that's totally up to you. When we put that on the agenda, I'll make sure I get information from local libraries about who is doing fines, who isn't. I know a lot of libraries have started to do fines again, so that you might want to consider that. But I'll have all that info for you when the time comes to discuss whether or not, you know, the board wants to extend being fine free. But yeah, in the meantime, I mean, since late October, you know, so that's 3 weeks or so, let's say, we've gotten over half the items back. So, hey, with any luck, maybe we'll get even more. So I wanted to point that out. And the only other thing that I wanted to comment on is that, as you know, we've been doing that 100,000 minute challenge through Beanstack. And I know some of you and your families have been participating, which is great. As of this morning, Acushnet readers have logged 113,893 minutes. So we've already surpassed the goal of 100,000 minutes with over a month, with over like a month and a half left to the end of the year, which is really exciting. We didn't think we'd necessarily get to the 100,000 because at the end of summer, we only had right around 60,000 at the end of summer. So we didn't know what would happen. But we've got 80 or so very dedicated readers who maybe don't log the minutes every day or every time they read, but they go back and add them in later on, which is great. So we're just going to keep going and see how many minutes will be read by the end of the year. We decided not to do a new challenge, for the next month and a half. But we'll wait to the new year and then put out something new. But it's pretty exciting. I think that's neat that people are participating in that way and logging minutes read. So I think that's a community, goal that was set by us that we didn't really know how the community would respond, and the community's responded really well. So I think it's great. So thanks to everyone who's been logging, and keep logging just for fun so we can see how far it goes. Then that'll help us to set up some fun challenges for next year, I think, if we see how far it goes this year. So that's the latest on Beanstack. Oh, and I did just want to mention too that I sent you the statistics, and if you noticed, October and September, if you compared to last month's statistics, we're off by 1 checkout. So in September of this year, we had checked out 4,432 items, and that includes digital items. And in October, it was 4,431. So we're staying pretty level with the checkouts, which is fun. We're still seeing that big increase in, or a sustained increase in our e-content. So that's about it, unless anyone has any questions for me.
Any questions? Comments? No? Nothing? All right, do we want to set the next meeting?
Sounds good. Usually at this time of year, this would have been the meeting where, because we usually start in October, where we review the action plan that's on file that supports the strategic plan. And then by December 1st, we're supposed to submit a new action plan to the state for the following fiscal year. I'm not paying attention to that deadline this year. I don't really think it's on anyone's radar to be doing an action plan. We'll definitely want to do one, but I'm not minding the December 1st deadline. I mean, they haven't put anything out to even remind us of the December 1st deadline. So, but I am hoping we could meet at some point in early December just to do that. And for what it's worth, it's hard to plan anything right now for the following fiscal year, but just to have something submitted in the event. I mean, it's important to do that, particularly in the event we were to apply for a state grant. We would need to have a current action plan on file. So it would just be good to get that off the table for this year. So if it's possible to meet either the week of December 1st, well, the week of November 30th, I guess, or the week of December 14th. If either of those weeks are good for anyone.
Whatever works.
What was that, Jerry?
She said
Whatever works.
Oh, whichever, yeah, whichever one's good for me as well.
Okay.
Have a preference?
Why don't we do it if we could, maybe that Tuesday, December 1st. Does that date work for people?
Yep.
Great.
At noon still? Does that work for everyone? Noon's okay?
Noon.
Okay. So we'll do Tuesday, December 1st at noon.
Great. And then that way it's just done, and I don't know, it'll happen in the next few weeks, but maybe we'll know a little bit more about where we stand in terms of reopening for browsing, and that may be the last meeting we have for 2020, who knows, but we'll see. But I'll try to make it the last meeting we have for 2020. How's that? As a holiday gift for you all, I'll try to make that. the last one we do.
All right, if we don't have anything else, we need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And
Second.
thank you. And roll call vote. Nancy,
Aye.
Danielle,
Okay.
Jerry,
Aye.
Steve,
Aye.
myself, aye, all in favor. So this November, what date, 10th, 2020 meeting of the Acushnet Public Library Board of Trustees is officially adjourned. It is 12:36. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you all. Have a great
Bye.
day.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.